I'm the author of Perfecting the Brand American Medicine, where the second book was Leading to Expect a Quality Improvement Fusion with Finance, which is predicated on the old tradition of horse shepherds. Something my grandfather, who invented the modern fire truck, happens to be incredibly important as part of that movement, where he was able to build a novel V12 engine for the American La France, fire engine that came out in 1957 on an operating budget. Like, there wasn't capital invested. They didn't have to go to investors. He went to the shop and invested time, effort, sweat in what could be a divine miracle of inventing a modern V12 engine on an operating budget, and then creating a life-saving quint, of which put the ladder, the pump, the hose, the lift, all on a single truck that could safely get to a fire and put it out without injuring more people on the way. That was American La France 1957 fire truck. Happened to be incredibly important. Engineers, mechanics, those in adherence of classical relativity, classical morphology, classical biochemistry. Nutritionists fall into this under this medical specialty of thermic medical specialty, which is part of the Jaghelonian law, part of Leading to Expect. Leading to Expect is, again, this fusion of quality and finance, of which my grandfather Frank was part of the inspiration for me to elaborate on it in Jaghelonian law and Horse Shepherd law in this latest book, Jaghelonian law, Leading to Expect, because he would have these end-of-month arguments with the CFO, where Frank was the chief quality inspector, of which that was a title that didn't exist everywhere out in industry, and his debates with the CFO at the end of the month on which trucks should roll and why, which trucks should stay and why, are some of the most important discussions on understanding quality. And America doesn't need to borrow a quality tradition from overseas. We have a quality tradition. It happens to include the invention of the modern fire truck. We were inventing fire trucks and shipping them all over America and all over the world. When other parts of the world were fighting in World War II, and so we were part of a great tradition of quality here in the United States. And one of the things that's really exciting is this thermic medicine specialty offers so much hope for those that have obesity, where BMI has increased so much over an incredible period of time. And one of the classical biochemistry findings is that fructose, which sometimes described as one of its ingredients is a high fructose corn syrup, actually has fewer bonds than glucose, which is an incredibly important finding because it adds building blocks to your body, but it makes you cold. The sense that it makes you cold is actually a really important thing, because it needs to add bonds to fructose to make it glucose. Glucose is one of the currencies, one of the thermodynamic currencies. And again, this thermic medical specialty here is real strictly to the James Clerk Maxwell thermodynamic tradition. And so longer chain macronutrients release more heat. Shorter chain ones, like fructose, which is a fragment of glucose, not full glucose, which is part of why it's so unhealthy, is one of the things that's causing the obesity epidemic. It's been implicated in medical science study, but there happens to not be a medical specialty that's rigidly in this thermic medicine. We have nutritionists, we have biochemists, but we don't have them unified in a single medical specialty of different levels of credentialing, which is so important, is to have a better organized system, given how important the rise in BMI is for us to address as a people. But the body has thermal process, expectation, cycles, topology. Suspect is a problem-solving methodology that I wrote about in Perfecting the Brand American Medicine. Has been an incredible success of using systems, energy, units of measure, seconds as in time, process for one-directional processes that don't repeat, expectations as in human expectations, cycles as in repeatable systems, and topologies as in reversible, of which the suspect acronym has been incredibly helpful in me getting, me and my clients, me and my physicians, me and my healthcare partners above the Baconian science method, which relied so heavily on a one-directional, non-reversible process causal model. When you look at medicine science, there's cycles, and there's also topologies. And the language that we use hasn't had a rigorous definition. It's so important, and I've included that in the thermic medicine specialty. It includes engineers. Engineers can think not just in linear ways, but in cycles and in topologies. Those that are involved in morphology and biochemistry as well. One of the really interesting findings in the thermic medical specialty under Jagiellonian law is the liver has a heat sensor, that if your part of your liver is satiated on warmth, your body's not hungry, which is one of the issues with fructose, is that your body is cold. And so your liver thinks you're cold, your body thinks you're cold, and that's where people aren't satiated. So they're eating. Their body doesn't need food. Their body's cold, which is an incredible thermodynamic finding. I'm not aware that it's been published. There should be a whole medical specialty focused on thermic medicine. I've managed diabetes educators, nutritionists, primary care doctors, cardiologists, orthopedists, sports medicine doctors, as administrative partner, as a medical scientist. And I just happen to have not seen a clear thermodynamic answer to patients that patients understand. In my review of the doctors that I've worked for. And that's not to say that there's not some motivationally interviewing that, or there's not studies to show that. We just haven't, I personally have not seen it. Minerals, proteins, and I published this in my book. It's a 15-chapter book, Metabolic Topology, where I elaborate on how the Krebs cycle, which is named in honor of Hans Adolf Krebs, the noted Nobel Prize winner, happens to not be a cycle because pH, as in acidity, can intervene in reversibility of it. And that happens to be another really important clue when you look at metabolic diseases in Homo sapiens, because, see, we have reversibility in the, if you look at the thermodynamic bookkeeping of biochemical transactions, and that reversibility is so critical, and so many physicians happen to answer the question wrong on survey. So many primary care doctors answer it wrong, because the metabolic cycle is reversible based on pH, and it's local pH, which is an incredibly important thing. Again, as we're talking about this thermic medical specialty, again, I elaborate on my book, which has been open for buyers and open for peer review. But ultimately, I think that having a medical specialty makes all sense in the world. Proteins can be processed, cycles, and topologies. There are proteins in your body that go in your mouth and go out. There are those proteins that get cycled, and there are those that are reversible. Those are sorted and clearly identified in metabolic topology in a way that I also have not seen reported anywhere. That's an important part of this thermic medicine balance sheet or bookkeeping of what we put into our bodies, because not everything that we put into our bodies just goes through our body. Not everything cycles the way we'd like, and there are some that are reversible. Minerals, so too, can be process cycle topology. Again, out of my suspect problem-solving method, which is so important. There's 3 minerals that I focus on where, the small intestine doesn't do that great of a job of absorbing magnesium, iron, calcium like it should. And, like a thermodynamic, evaluation of our physiology would be like, gee, why does our body not absorb all the iron? Why isn't it all bioavailable? It should be. Magnesium as well, and calcium as well. We eat it and think that we're absorbing it, and they're not actually the same thing. And so this thermic medicine specialty is so critical, as we look at, how we feed ourselves and how we keep ourselves healthy. 2 of our products at Profi.me, one is a retail barcoding system for scanning the grocery cart real time, where the patient customer can scan that purchase real time, and over time we can add new suggestions based on choices that make sense from a thermic medical specialty perspective. And we also offer a thermic diagnostic grocery compliance program, of which, again, moving the nutritional coaching out of the every 6-week visit, every 12-week visit, and instead moving it into the patient's hand as they're in the grocery store and making choices, and can have a gentle alarm that says, gee, that food has too much glucose in it, that food has too much fructose in it. We're looking for investors. We've opened up a Series A. We know that's going to be super successful in the marketplace. It's not my first rodeo. I was a part of a company called Food for All, where we were able to get a $5 million valuation on an inferior idea, one that was trying to get rid of food waste, which was lower quality food, didn't solve one of the problems of society. We ask you to join us at Profi.me and donate, invest into Profi.me, our retail barcoding program. We know it's part of a case management program that can be implemented in any clinic and every clinic that sees patients with metabolic disease.